Can we stay or official wedding? That is the question we're asking you, and why? Why do you think which one works for you? 22422 is the SMS line, at Trevor Mbija, at Zinzi_K, at Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag Daybreak. We'll sample some of your views during this broadcast.
Let me jump straight to Roberta. You have a relationship blog, you talk to young people. What do people say is the right time to get married, the right age to get married? Do young people have a specific time? Research, I was reading a research that says most young people put 27 to 29.
Yeah.
What's it on the ground when you were interacting with university students?
I wouldn't entirely say that I've gotten to hear about the age that people are most comfortable with. But right now, I think what people just chase is financial stability. People want to know that there's security in everything that they're doing, that they are stable, that they are okay. And then, because people are getting married as young as 23, 22, 20, 19. So I wouldn't say I know in its entirety that when people are deciding to settle, because what I've seen is that people are choosing to settle just when they know that there's security. Yeah.
Let's bring in our couple of the day. Emily and Bernard, did you guys tell your parents, and how did you go about it? What's your advice? In case there's a young couple watching and they're like, we are scared. How do we go about telling those that we love, our colleagues, our family and friends? What's your advice?
How long have you been together, first of all?
We started dating back in...
Hold the microphone closer to your mouth.
We have been together for the last 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I would advise the young individuals is to decide. You decide and then you go for it. Because once you go for it, there's no turning back.
Okay.
It's a life. You need
So
to
after
move
you've
on.
made that decision, after both of you have said, higher, this is it, let's go do this. Emily, how do I break this news to my mom and dad?
Okay, it starts from courtship. Like for us, before we got into this calm-stay marriage, my parents knew him, my sisters, and everyone that was close to me.
Okay.
So they were aware that I was dating. So even when we were in this kind of marriage, they knew. So there is something about, there is an aspect of calm-stay and marriage that is doing things right. So when you are in calm-stay, do things right. Let your parents know.
What did your friends think?
They were okay. Of course, they knew that I was dating, and they were like, oh, you are lucky.
Do most of your friends, just like you and Bernard, have they agreed to do a can we stay? You know, your social circles, your close friends, or are they traditionally or legally married?
Okay, most of my friends, they are those who want a church wedding. And this waiting for church wedding, I think it's not nice because you'll need time to have finances. Yeah.
So there's a difference. There's a difference between those of us who are talking about the possible wedding and the come we stay and the people who've actually experienced it. So for you as a couple, what would you have told the 4 years back, yourself 4 years before this? What would you have told yourself now? Now that what is so different that you've learned now that you wish you'd have known then?
Okay.
Does it have to come with the commitment issue? Is it about the finances? Is it about kuvumiliana? What is it about?
Yeah, there is much of that.
Yeah.
I mean, can I ask you a question? Were you concerned when Bernard told you that, or when he proposed the idea of can we stay, that, you know, let's do this, let's finally make this a thing. We will probably do our wedding when we're financially stable, whether it's 5 years to come. Did he tell you that? Did you believe him on his word? What is it about Bernard that you felt like, enyewe anasema ukweli? Yeah, let me take the risk as a woman.
No, he did not tell me. We discussed it. We saw that we had responsibilities. That is, we still have to continue with education. That is, like he has a degree and he has to do masters, you see. So we have those responsibilities. And we need, by like age, we are at between 27 and 29. We need to have a kids area. We don't want to have kids at the age of 35, 40 there. Then your daughter is 10 years old when you are 50.
Okay.
Wow, so it's a conversation both of you decide to have.
Let me bring in Jennifer on this. And Jennifer, there's this issue we're talking about, an issue of being comfortable Isn't that where the problem is? Because then the boy child always feels like, why are they saying that I'm not supposed to be comfortable? Is it when you say that when the lady moves into your house and then now you're comfortable, isn't that supposed to be the point right there? Because then why do you want me to be uncomfortable? First of all,
nobody wants to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's a good comfort zone. But
it's a good comfort zone not to be uncomfortable.
But the good comfort zone
Yeah.
becomes your greatest challenge and nightmare. Because what happens in Come We Stay, you invite someone to come and stay with you. And it's all very good. Now, when you stay together, marriage has developmental stages.
Yeah.
What basically happens is that when you are in that high dating season, you are on the romantic stage, you are on a dream, your fantasy, everything is so exciting. As you continue to stay, psychologists have done a lot of research on this, and they say that for some couples, the romantic stage lasts for 3 months. At the most, it lasts for 18 months.
This is when you say I do or when you start courting?
When you stay together. Whether you are
18
married
months.
or Come We Stay.
Okay.
Within that season, you are in a dream stage,
That's what we call the
romantic,
honeymoon
fantasy,
stage.
honeymoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the most exciting place to be. So when you do Come We Stay, you are enjoying that. You can't wait to go home. I mean, the comfort space is fantastic. You are enjoying romance 24/7 now. Then you go to the season of drama.
Yeah.
When drama knocks in, you
Pettiness.
are like, oh, this is not the person I want
Yeah.
in my life,
Yeah.
because drama has come in. Now, what happens in the Come We Stay, that's when you now look for Dan and say, hey, I married the wrong person. I'm living with the wrong, I want out. What do I do? That's when you come home and find an empty house that the man or the woman has taken off without even telling you.
So Jennifer, off air, we were having the debate for who moves into whose house.
Yes.
And you told me most of the time it's the man that moves into the woman's house.
Many men move into
In a Come We Stay.
Come We Stay. It's the most cozy house to be in.
And
And
see-
then he has the freedom of going on a trip. I'm traveling. And so that's when he's trying out somebody else in his own house. Because he keeps it in the event that this doesn't work
As
out.
backup. So we have a caller from Isiolo. Also, my partners disagree, but let's take a call from Isiolo. Hussein, good morning. Hussein, good morning. Go ahead with your comment or question, Hussein. All right, that's our caller from Isiolo. I think we've lost him. Dan,
Yeah.
you wanted to jump into this, and I also saw you shaking
And
your head,
Baridi
but
was
you need
like,
to take
no. Baridi, you wouldn't move into a woman's house. What's wrong with that?
My community and the ancestors does not allow that.
Then-
Where I'm coming from, you can't move to
Yes.
a woman's
It's a
house.
good thing.
And also, how we were nurtured, you have your kasimba there. So you don't need even to go to your mother's house in the morning. And also you have to leave that house. And when you grow up, when you're around 16, 17, 18, you start looking how you need to stay. So we were nurtured like that. So Come We Stay in our family, you cannot move to, it's abomination to our community.
Okay, so Diane, and that leads me to my next question. The sort of influence your background has on you. The way you're
Yes.
saying that your community, your family, your ancestors cannot allow it. My question is then, people who come from a humble background, are they more likely to uphold marriage higher as opposed to their fellow counterparts who come from a rich background?
That was actually on some research. Yeah.
I would say yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay.
The yes part is that because you come from a humble background, you tend to appreciate that you know what we are growing together. We're great. So there's an element, because wealth tends to bring some element of pride. Once you're wealthy, you have an element of pride. In fact, one of the reasons why people are fighting in marriage is because of money. You know, where you feel like, work hard, this is my money, and what's your money, what are you bringing to the table? So there's an element of that. But then when you come from a humble background, you tend to appreciate connections more, and then you grow together. If you come from a humble background, doesn't mean that you're not going to get wealthy. You grow together. That's on the yes side. On the no side, people also come from a humble background also tend to be more for come we stay. Because the conversation that we're hearing is money. Money, 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 because I don't have that money for that kind of a wedding. Because when you're wealthy, as I said, if I have my own house, whether I've rented or I've built, and I've furnished it, and then you have yours, who is going to budge? And why should I budge and come to yours in something that's shaky? So you see, I can't come because listen. I have a house that have got all this stuff. You want me to take my stuff and bring them to yours, and yet this is not something very, very serious. So there's an element of that. But I've got breaking news for people. Breaking news today on Citizen. This is the breaking news. You can start and have a small officiating ceremony. And then 10 years later, once you've accumulated wealth together, you can do the pomp and color with razzmatazz that you wanted.
And now that we've brought in wealth and money into this conversation, how do you know the difference between, whether it's a man or woman, by the way, this is like a man or woman side.
Yes.
How do you know the difference between marrying a project and marrying a partner? I read somewhere that people make the mistake of marrying a project and not marrying a partner.
Yes.
There's a big difference.
Yes. A project, if somebody is after you for, wants to be your project, they'll be like, hey, first conversations, where do you work? How much is your salary? Conversations tend to be about your money. This is on the man side, on the woman side. His community said his community does not accept a man moving in, but it's the reality also on the ground where we have some men who are moving in. So I have to speak to that. So sometimes when you find a man who's also asking you as a woman, where do you work, how much do you earn? Or as a man, you're finding a woman who's constantly about your money. You know, what are you going to do for me and all that kind of stuff? Because the pressure, I feel the pressure for giving a wedding has been put on men as if it is our mandate alone. And it's supposed to be joint. Yeah. We're supposed to be together in this. So if your man says that I don't have the finances for this kind of thing, sit down together. Just tell him, I can chip in this, you chip in that. Don't have an expensive wedding and then you start struggling financially in terms of your marriage. And I need to also say this. There's the difference between customary marriage and come we stay. We have to differentiate that. Customary marriage is actually recognized legally. And if you go through the procedure, customarily, it's supposed to be legally done so that you also have a marriage certificate. So there's a difference. Come we stay is, as you said, it's dating. We're dating in the process of knowing each other for to see whether we are compatible. Come out tutaweza, about tutaweza. And as I started, I said, I respect every couple's journey towards finding love because I've counseled couples who started with come we stay and then they realize, you know what, we want to make this official. So they started the journey of come we stay and then they go to a process of whereby, especially once kids come involved, because kids have a way of waking you up, sometimes badly, sometimes goodly. In the bad way, I counsel a lot of single mothers. Those single mothers tend to be single mothers in come we stay relationships because you pop in over there and then whoop, there's a baby and then you're being told, toka kwangu. And then also now the man becomes a tussle. And I've also counseled couples who they really, really loved each other. They started as a come we stay. They continued as like that. And then the more they interacted, they realized, you know what, let's just make this thing official. Okay. And I respect that. I respect that because you've actually come from a journey, because love is a process of growth. Okay. It's a process of growth. Find your journey as a couple.
All right. Roberta, you deal with these young people a lot. What are the greatest fears today when it comes to the union of marriage?
The greatest fears?
Yes.
Mostly it's the end, because people get into these things with the end in mind. So people are scared to be legally bound. People are scared to not have an easier way out. People are scared of commitment. And that's a real fear because people tend to think about everything else that they're gonna miss when they're staying with this person. Like we said, people are married and they're having sex with other people. They're cheating, they're adulterous. So for come we stay, men, or rather the people, let me not use men, the ones who tend to want to walk out, these are the things they think about. They think about, na nikitaka kutoka, na tukiachana.
So do they think come we stay and a wedding, which there's one that is easier to get into infidelity through, or both of them are just the same? Because
you see with come we stay, there's no commitment. There's no that binding factor that says, you said this vows, you have to work things out. You have to try and make things work. Because marriage is not just a walk in the park. It's something you actually have to commit to, whether it's come we stay or whether it's traditional or whether it's a white wedding. The main point is the commitment. What we want to see. Yes.
Why do you think young people are scared of commitment? What is it about commitment that scares young people?
I wouldn't really pinpoint one thing that I think is the issue with commitment, but I feel like it has to do a lot with our cognitive development, how we've grown up, how our environment, the changes that are taking place, everything that is happening right now, I feel like is not favorable towards commitment.
Right. Let's get Jennifer's thoughts on that one, then we can read people's SMSs and feedback. What is it about commitment that young people are so scared of?
And is it commitment? Because even in a Come We Stay, there's some level of commitment.
Yes, yes.
Is it really the commitment that's a problem?
One of the things that young people are afraid of is the vulnerability that comes with the commitment. The vulnerability. And they want to be in charge of their own lives. They don't want to be vulnerable. Two, they also feel that when they commit to a relationship, it takes away their intimacies. It takes away their creativity. It takes away their romance. It's boring. And that is their mindset. What happens is that when you are not committed together, you work harder to make one another happy, excited, so they think. And the minute you say, I do, then it's just, everybody has a layback situation. I hear a lot about that. People also have a fear of intimacy, because when you do have that level of a commitment of intimacy, then what happens when you cheat on me? What happens when you are no longer faithful to these relationships? I mean, I'm out of here. I have a plan B. But when you say I do and you take your vows, it simply means for better, for worse. So that's what they don't want, for better, for worse. What they want is the freedom of choice, that I'm with you because I choose to today. If tomorrow I choose not to be with you, there's no legal tussle. But I just want to add on one thing, that who you are, your background, your values, your tradition, what you stand for, makes the decision of whether to stay together or to get married. Because parents play a very major role in whether you have that, your perception to this Come We Stay is going to be with consent or without, or it is the marriage. It comes from the foundation of the family that you come from. It comes from the foundation of the values that you carry. It comes from the core of humanity. And the question is, who are you? When you answer the question who you are, everything else becomes aligned.
We'll come back to you in just a bit. We have to take a quick break here. There's a lot of feedback also coming through. Let's read some of them at Citizen TV Kenya. Trevor Mbija, Zinzi_K, #Daybreak. Let's bring them up on the screen and see what you're saying. Governor 254 says young men in Nairobi are delaying marriage until they have an assured source of income to care for a wife and children. Unlike traditionally, marriage for the city man is now a much more personal and lonely decision pegged on income. Interesting, interesting. It's true. You go on to say that Kenyan men hate weddings. Come We Stay saves them from the trauma of dealing with the hectic dowry negotiations and dubious wedding planners. No need for harambes and goat-eating parties to raise cash for a wedding. All right, Jackson the No-So says sometimes officially wedding marriages fail because they are clouded by so much entitlements. So official wedding fails because of entitlement. Bulam, I hope I pronounced that right. You say, whether Come We Stay or wedding in church, none is biblical. Biblically, when the man visits the girl's parents to ask for their daughter's hand and they accept him to take the girl, the marriage is concluded at that point. The rest is for show off. All right. Honorable Tarusi says the ideal age for marriage in men is 35. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll become happy. If you don't, then you'll become a philosopher. Okay. Wow, interesting feedback from our viewers today. Let's take a look at our SMS. Our SMS is 22422. Please tell us your name and where you're watching from. Just like Jason, all the way from Kericho, you say it's marriage for him. But individuals of these days find it really hard to respect and uphold its sanctity. And believe you me, ladies are the majority who love the Come We Stay. Why? They cherish the association's simplicity and the ease of quitting Yeah.
When they fail to be loyal and financially attributes become slim.
All right, so even the ladies walk out. You're the one who's marrying the boy child here. Kennedy Owiro from Migori says it is not about wedding. It is making your relationship known to your parents. It brings in relatives from both sides of the relationship, and even the clan comes in, and it is completely bonded. Also, to raise good children, you should both let them know their roots. It is great when a son or daughter can draw a chart for their family from themselves to great-grandchildren.
Have you done that before? Have you tried to trace it? Purity is 20 years old. Good morning, Purity. You say, I totally agree with Jennifer. The first few months is so romantic, thinking you got the very best in the world until you come to know what kind of a person you are dealing with.
Surprise, surprise, people change. Edwin from Eldoret says both Come We Stay and weddings have the element of commitment in the mindset. Come We Stay has become more popular and has formed almost 70% of the current marriages because at the time of dating, they find the urge to move on. Finance factor and fear of losing partners contributes more for the Come